So following an announcement by Norway, Ireland and Spain that they plan to recognize Palestine as an independent state, EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell continues to speak out in favor of a two-state solution in the Middle East.
Now, what the impacts of all this will be and whether more countries will join the efforts of recognizing Palestinian statehood, we're now joined by Senia Waldberg, entrepreneur and social activist. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Now, before we discuss these countries and their decisions, let's talk about two-state solutions. What does it exactly mean to Palestinians, to the Hamas and Israel war? Explain it to us, please.
Well, I don't think that a two-state solution is quite the right term when you ask Hamas or the Palestinian Authority. If you read their books, if you listen to their propaganda, they don't have a two-state solution. They have a one-state solution. That state is called Palestine. They clearly say that they do not accept Israel's existence. They do not accept the presence of Jews or any other religion, actually.
But Senia, let me interrupt you there for a moment, because I think I want to clear that up, because you've said that Hamas and the Palestinian Authority don't recognize anything else except a Palestinian state. Now, I believe so. We've had very close progress. I mean, if we go back to history, to 2000, Camp David, we did have Arafat and Ehud Barak and Clinton talking about that.
I will address that in a moment.
Yeah, so I'm just saying I want to clear that it isn't just only Hamas.
I will address that in a moment.
Yeah, okay.
No, it's not just Hamas. I will remind you that there were two attempts to make peace with a two-state solution. One was, you mentioned Camp David with Yasser Arafat and Yitzhak Rabin. And the second one was with Ehud Barak and the same Yasser Arafat several years, actually around 20 years later. And both were catastrophically failed because of one reason. When Yasser Arafat was asked by his friends in the Islamic world, how can you sign any agreement with the Jews? He answered them, remember the taqiyya. Now, the taqiyya in Islam means that you have to lie to your enemies, just like Muhammad did when he conquered Mecca, in order to deceive them and then conquer them. Most of the people, all those country leaders of Ireland, of Spain, of Norway, who acknowledge the Palestinian state now, they know nothing about Islam and nothing about their tradition. When Yasser Arafat said that sentence, very few people actually understood what he means. Yasser Arafat meant by this very clearly that he only signs this agreement to deceive the Jews. He has no intention accepting any Palestinian state in less than what they chant now, from the river to the sea. No place in the Middle East will belong to anyone but the Muslims. This was his idea. So no, the Fatah and the Palestinian Authority do not accept Israel's existence. They only pretend to do so only when they have to attend some international conferences and play the nice boy. Hamas obviously doesn't do it. Hamas plain open say that they don't just want to destroy Israel, they want to destroy all the world which is not Muslim. They openly said it in their charter.
Well, I mean, once again, what Hamas is saying, what the Palestinian Authority is saying, that those are two different things. And I know that this is a very raw topic, but I do think we have to distinguish between those two elements. And we know that if we had followed the Oslo Accords in how they were supposed to be, we can discuss this for a long time, but it should have been a Palestinian state in 1999. But I think we have more questions here before we get too blurred in history here.
Well, yeah, and it's also in discussion who is ruling there. Is it Hamas or the government? But that's also another question. But I mean,
depends where.
Well, that is true. But from what you're saying, in your opinion, what is the point of Norway, Ireland, and Spain right now announcing that they are recognizing Palestine as an independent state? I mean, is it a right time right now when they are in conflict with Israel? And as Netanyahu said, reward for terrorism. Well, obviously he's not really happy about it. So what is the point of announcing this right now, do you think? Is it a good time?
I think, well, obviously it's a horrible time because right now Hamas in their groups, in their Telegram groups, on their news channels, they show it as a victory. They try to present to their people that the October 7 attacks, the October 7 massacre, was a success, that they got a recognition, they were recognized as a country because of these massacres, and that their resistance was a success. So basically, they gave a candy to a terror organization. They gave them a prize for slaughtering Jews in the Middle East. This is how the Hamas and most of the Palestinians here see that. So obviously, the timing is horrible. I don't know what was the reason of each of these countries to do that right now. I'm sure they were not trying to give Hamas a prize, but this is what they did. And this is the biggest problem of the European leaders. They don't know anything about the Middle East. They don't understand how the radical Islam here even thinks. What I mentioned right now, the Taqiyya, I don't think they ever even heard that term. And this is the problem. They don't understand the terrorists of the radical Islam here. And this is why their decisions are very poor.
Well, the decisions, as we said earlier, this is a very raw and difficult time, I think, for this entire region. And I think, while we continue that offensive in Gaza, it's going to be incredibly difficult to come to any of these decisions. Now, but let's step back for a moment, because I think, on one hand, yes, you look at what, one case you've made is that the Europeans don't understand it. I don't know, we can't substantiate that fully now. I think saying that no one in the European Union has any understanding of it would be the wrong claim. But at the same time, globally, we still have nations that are not recognizing the state of Palestine, if there would be one, including obviously the United States, also Japan, Germany, many other major countries. But what does this do now in terms of, if we recognize it's one thing, and I understand the anger on some angle of this, but is it, because ultimately the United States will not agree to this if it doesn't include Israel in a two-state solution. Now, on the ground where you are in Israel, what is the general mood? Is there some kind of still future hope, appetite of some nature, if it's on done right terms, that we could still continue on the peace process, that we could still have a two-state solution? Is that still something possible in the minds of some Israelis?
I don't think it's possible in the mind of Israelis for two reasons. In Israel, we clearly understand that the Palestinians don't really want a state. They want to pretend they want a state because they don't know how to deal with the state. And Yasser Arafat proved it twice, when twice they were ready to sign the peace agreement, and then bombing started, and they started by the initiative of the Palestinians. The whole purpose of this was to blow up the negotiations, and I can predict the future. If it's going to come to a next third agreement, right before they take a pen and sign the paper, something else will happen. This will happen again and again because they will not accept the state. Mm-hmm. And the second reason there won't be peace, because if you read the history books, if you read the learning books, the math books, the English books, every book of every Palestinian child in the Middle East, you will see that they teach them from age 3 to kill all the Jews, not only in Israel, in the world. How can you make peace with those people? You tell me.
Well, it is certainly it is a difficult situation, and as of right now, Israeli Prime Minister is opposing the idea. So this is not moving forward.
Even if he was not opposing, let's suppose he was not opposing. Let's suppose Benjamin Netanyahu would say, "I welcome peace. I welcome the two-state solution." Nothing will change. They will not accept it. There will be just more violence.
Until we get to that point, that would be really fascinating to analyze how we could come to that point, but we aren't there yet. And let's hope that in the end, we'll have to say that peace hopefully will eventually prevail. Look, we'll have to close it there. Thank you so much, Senia Waldberg, there, entrepreneur and social activist.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.